Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News Midday starts now.
And good morning. Thanks for tuning in to 23 ABC News at 11 a.m. I'm Mike Hart.
And I'm Melissa Flores. We begin at this hour with a look at the forecast.
That's right. Mountain passes all stayed open overnight. So let's bring in Elaine to say everything's pushed out. It's all.
That storm is out of here.
Okay.
Yeah. So some cool air coming in, and we had to deal with so much ice in the mountains that we had 4 different school complete closures today. El Cajon District and Tehachapi District were among the biggest. And you can see some of that cloud cover is already starting to break apart. So as we zoom down, we're in the 40s here on the valley floor, still close to freezing for many of our mountain locations. We have a beautiful camera picture live right now. There it is. This is looking south, and see the low clouds banked up against the mountains, and then you have those mountains that are clear with some of the new snow on top and some higher clouds as well. Just beautiful. Those upslope clouds are going to sit there banked for about the rest of the day, and then we just have some passing clouds the next couple afternoons. Chance of morning fog, a chance to get up to the 60s early next week. That's a stable pattern heading into the holiday MLK Day come Monday. We'll talk about some more weekend events that you can enjoy coming up.
The impeachment trial of President Trump is expected to begin Tuesday about the confrontation over whether any witnesses will be called to take center stage. The 100 U.S. senators, for only the 3rd time in American history, are now officially jurors. They will be responsible for reviewing the evidence and to consider the charges against the president. He is accused of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The biggest questions that still remain about the trial involve witnesses and evidence and what might be presented. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has said he plans to force a vote on witnesses once the trial kicks off Tuesday. The president's legal team will now include Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr, who led the Whitewater investigation of President Bill Clinton. Meantime, new developments in the Iran missile attack on bases in Iraq. U.S. officials now saying nearly a dozen U.S. service members were treated for concussion-type symptoms. No American troops were killed. The president and military leaders initially said there were no injuries. The 11 wounded soldiers reportedly have worsening conditions due to what officials say could be traumatic brain injuries, which take days to develop. Most of the forces on the Iraqi base at the time of the attack were in a bunker.
The Bakersfield Police Department is asking for help with 2 cases from late last year. First, a hit-and-run crash that resulted in injuries. On December 6th, the man was standing outside of his parked car on Shannon Drive near Golden Valley High School when he was struck by a passing vehicle. The driver of that car immediately fled after the incident. The victim suffered major injuries. The following images show the possible suspect vehicle as it fled the scene. It's described as a 2000 to 2006 white Chevrolet Suburban or GMC Yukon with black trim on the sides. Anyone with information regarding this case can call BPD at 327-7111. And take a look at these 2 men on your screen. BPD says these suspects burglarized a storage unit on Patton Way near Hageman on November 27th. The suspects were driving a 2008 white Chevy Silverado pickup. We have full descriptions of both suspects on our website. Again, turn223.com.
Bakersfield Police and the Kern County Sheriff's Department took part in a gang sweep operation in Tulare County that resulted in nearly 24 arrests. The Tulare County Sheriff's Office announced the results of that sweep yesterday in the arrest of 25 Norteno gang members as multiple law enforcement agencies from throughout the valley helped to serve a series of search and arrest warrants early Thursday. Local officers and deputies headed to Cutler and Orosi. Officials say the suspects targeted were responsible for at least 30 drive-by shootings.
I want to say that we're not done. We know that there's more street violence out there. We know that more gangs exist. And as you can see with the collaborative partnerships that are up before me today, this is not something that will end today. We will continue our efforts to make our streets as safe as we possibly can.
Officers seized numerous weapons, including assault rifles, even a grenade. They also recovered 2 stolen cars, along with drugs, meth, marijuana, and heroin.
A traffic stop by Tehachapi police led to the arrest of 3 Kern County residents. 35-year-old Daniel Salvatierra, 28-year-old Andres Esparza, and 28-year-old Nora Esparza were arrested. Police found a loaded gun, drugs, and brass knuckles on Salvatierra. Andres Esparza was on active parole, and Nora Esparza had active warrants for her arrest. She was found with meth on her.
The Kern County District Attorney's Office has announced a resolution with Supervisor Leticia Perez in her conflict of interest case. According to the deal, Perez will pay $30,000 in penalties to charities focusing on homeless abatement and/or drug rehabilitation, along with a $4,000 administrative fine to the Fair Political Practices Commission. She also has to perform 100 hours of community service and complete an in-person ethics course and provide all information about income received from the cannabis industry from 2016 to 2017. If Supervisor Perez completes the actions within 1 year, the DA's office has said they will dismiss the pending criminal charges. Perez announced that she'll be donating that $30,000 to the Bakersfield Homeless Center.
The Bakersfield Police Department has announced 2 new recruits to their department, 2-year-old Zeke and 1.5-year-old Tito. They are the newest canines to join BPD. Officials say the dogs have been training for just under 2 weeks at the BPD Police Department Canine Training Field. According to their handlers, Zeke and Tito are learning quickly and they both love to work and play. The department says they are both green dogs.
We buy what we said is a green dog, which completely untrained dog, and typically around $9,000 to $10,000 for that dog. If you buy a trained dog, they're usually around $20,000 to $25,000. So we prefer the untrained, and that way we can train them up to our standards.
Chad Haskins, senior officer for Bakersfield and Elite Canine Trainer, says Zeke and Tito are 2 replacements for the canine unit of 11. The 4-legged officers will train for 12 weeks, completing field and obedience training and obstacle courses. Haskins shares that Zeke and Tito will work a total of 6 years before they retire.
The Bakersfield Condors have announced an all-star switch this morning. Left winger Tyler Benson replaces Kyler Yamamoto in the 2020 AHL All-Star game at the end of this month in Ontario. Yamamoto was the only Condor selected to play in this year's All-Star Classic on January 26th and 27th, but the 21-year-old was recalled to Edmonton right before the new year. He had 16 points in 23 games in Condorstown. Now, so far in Edmonton, he has 2 goals, 3 assists in just 7 games. So the Oilers probably don't want to let him leave. Benson has 8 goals and 24 assists in 32 games for Bakersfield this season.
Hundreds are expected to hit the streets tomorrow for the Women's March in Kern County. Women's March Kern County held a sign-making event last night. Those who went to the sign-making party got to make their own posters to use for the event. This all in preparation for a day that recognizes the importance of human rights.
That if we sit down and we have a discussion and not debates, we'll understand one another's points of views and get further and improve our world.
The Women's March is set to take place tomorrow at Central Park in Mill Creek. The event starts at 8 a.m.
A group of community members in Lamont will be spending the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday by giving back. Several local organizations, including Arvin High School's FFA, Kern County Hispanic SDA Church, and multiple local politicians will all be joining forces to clean up for a cleanup day in Lamont. The groups will meet at 10420 Myrtle Avenue at 9 a.m. and the cleanup will end at 2 p.m. Everyone is welcome to come out and take part.
A local community service member is making their way to the silver screens this month on Disney+. Anthony Dominguez currently serves as an intern paramedic for Hall Ambulance right here in Bakersfield. According to Hall Ambulance, Dominguez will be featured on Disney+'s Encore series. The show is about reuniting high school drama students who relived their theater roles as teens with the help of Broadway professionals. Dominguez will be back again with his classmates from Pacifica Christian School in Santa Monica and says it was an unforgettable experience.
Having to learn everything in 4 days was definitely one of the hardest aspects of putting on this performance again. Not only was I in the middle of my paramedic internship, learning Kern County's protocols, learning drug dosages, learning everything and making sure I'm finally tuned in that aspect, but then I was thrown into this production.
Dominguez will be performing Ragtime with his fellow classmates, and you can catch that episode only on Disney+. It'll air on January 24th.
And we have a somber note to pass along this morning from the Kern County Probation Department. Officials telling us that their canine Rossi has died. Rossi served in the probation department from 2010 to 2017 with Supervisor John Sanchez. The two reportedly earned multiple canine awards for narcotics building searches, agility, obedience, and building searches for a person. In a statement released just a short while ago, the probation department said, quote, "We are saddened by the loss of Rossi. However, we are grateful for his faithful service to the community."